Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is effectively a retake in the Derbyshire Churches series. This is the Church of All Saints Elton. Now, we've been here before, but there was an issue with the audio on the video, so I've come back on another day, a nice, bright, sunny day, sunny afternoon, to explore this church. Now, this is a building that dates from between 1806 and 1812. There was a lovely medieval church here, but in 1806 disaster struck and the church spire came crashing down on the nave, destroying the church and requiring effectively a complete rebuild. And the cheapest thing to do was just to knock everything down and to start over from scratch with a brand new building. And so this is very much your typical Georgian church. It's a box, it's four walls and a roof, and it's got a tower. It's designed for preaching. Now, none of the Georgian interior survives. That's all been ripped out and replaced in the 19th and 20th centuries. The church is also notable for having 2.5 organs. That is to say, it's really got 3 organs, but one of them is completely unworkable. So we'll have a look around and I'll point it out, and this time there will be sound. So we're now inside at Elton, and you can see immediately the simplicity of this building. It's a building it's built for a small village. There isn't a great big house anywhere. It's not a place where there's a lot of money. So a nice simple rebuild. Now, on the south side, the side facing the church, facing the village street, we have this wide tracery in the windows. And on the north side, the plainer side, it's these simple round-headed windows. And it's simply a matter of what is smarter, what you want to be seen and what you don't. There was, as I say, a medieval church, and we know it dated back to the 12th century because during restoration, these pieces were found. Now, these are the remains of some 12th century columns. So we know that there was a 12th century church here, probably much like they had Allsop on Dale, and it's then made a bit fancier. They get a spire, and then the spire is the end of the whole thing, and they start all over again. A modern addition, there's a little kitchenette area at the back. They've just got really as a sink, and I suspect they'd have a microwave or a little electric hob thing. We have some nice windows. These windows are memorial windows. This is in most loving memory of my wife, Ellen Julia Brissett Johnson, and our son, John Corley Burrows Johnson, erected by her devoted husband, the Reverend T. Johnson, M.A., rector of Elton. And so there they are. This is something that you can see quite a lot of examples of in the late 19th, early 20th century. You've actually got photographic portraits of Ellen and John, and she is depicted as St. Cecilia, and he is depicted as an angel playing a harp. And then at the bottom we have just a standard figure. But the use of the photographic portraits was, I won't say very common, but you can see quite a number of examples. I'll back up again here, because of the pews, and here we have the War Memorial. First of all, this is the War Memorial for the Second World War, and there's just 2 men. Their name liveth for evermore. Note it's name singular, because, well, it is singular. And here we have the War Memorial for the First World War. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 names. Glossop reappears, which is not surprising. And you've got, of course, St. George for England. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And this, of course, is an important point with the War Memorial So again, back up. Now the oldest thing in the church is the font. This font is medieval. It's quite similar to one nearby Yorgrave. And these are interesting because they have not just your main font bowl where you do your dipping, but you've got this little kind of stoop thing on the outside. You also notice you've got, if we can get in close to that, you've got a dragon underneath. Now the dragon is upside down because the dragon has been defeated, you see, because the dragon is a symbol of the devil. This is the war memorial in the old Wesleyan Reformed chapel, which is now in private hands. It's now closed. And here we have Ezekiel and St. Paul. Unusual. Now, this window is quite worn, but this is going to be the husband of the lady we saw here. This is the oldest organ. This is a beautiful instrument. It has a, just have a look, it's a single manual organ. Just got your, six stops. Takes me a moment to count them. And it is Bevington and Sons, Greek Street, Soho. And it was given by Miss H. Johnson in 1953 in memory of her father, the Reverend Timothy Johnson, who was rector at Elton, 1882 to 1925. And this is his memorial window here. So again, we have the font and that lovely dragon. There's quite a lot of instruments here, because you've not just got the organ, you've got here, there is a piano, and up there you've got, now of course, as we all know, those pipes are dummies, but behind them, you can just see in the corner some more, we have the remains of another organ. We've got a whole load of organ pipes up in the West Gallery, which is rather interesting. And then here we have a modern electric organ. There's the pulpit. You can see this is early 20th century by the look of it. And above it we have a memorial, just if I can get round close to it, we have a memorial to Fidel Edmund Garrett, born at Elton Rectory, July 1865, died in Devon, May 1907. He gave the 2 short years of his working life to the service of his country as editor of the Cape Times and as a member of the Cape Parliament, so South Africa. And one suspicion is that his health was broken by it. His health deteriorated. He came back to England to recover, and because he never did, he came back in fact to die. Choir stalls, and you realise at this point what we have is a Victorian church, Victorian pews, choir stalls, that's been fitted into this Georgian building. The organ, of course, looks very suitable for the Georgians. The way it sticks out is quite interesting. The eagle lectern has been pushed over into a corner over here, and there is the vestry door. Obviously the vestry is the vestry, so it's not currently in use. There's a good, really good church Bible there. Open on the Apocrypha, which may tell you something, but it may not. The choir stalls here. The door, because the door's halfway down the south wall, the door effectively is the division between the de facto nave and de facto chancel. You've got royal arms of King George III up there. That makes sense. That will have been rescued, of course, from the previous building. It seems to be the only thing that was. I suspect there were other things, but they have been removed. You'll notice that the east window is just a simple Bible text, "Suffer little children to come unto me." And here we have again a series of Bible texts. As Mary Garrett, the wife of the Reverend J.F. Garrett, who of course should be the mother of Fidel Edmund Garrett. In grateful and loving remembrance of her work and labour of love, more especially in the education of the young. During 11 years, the inhabitants of this parish and a few of her private friends have erected this window to the memory of Mary, the beloved and lamented wife of the Reverend J. F. Garrett, their pastor, AD 1873. And the fact that what you've got here is a series of Bible texts. She is not dead, but sleepeth. Whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. And they're just repeated on the other side, is interesting as it suggests perhaps an evangelical background or an evangelical tradition here at the time. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that it continued, but it is interesting to note that you don't have the sort of Anglo-Catholic paraphernalia that you might otherwise have seen. So it's an interesting building. We've got effectively 2.5 organs and a piano, and this glorious, glorious font. So that's the inside. Let's go outside now and have a look around. So here we are outside at Elton. I'm round on the north side at the moment. You can see behind me this quite plain building, and this is basically what a country church in the Georgian period, that's built in this late Georgian period, is going to look like, because it's a building that's very much dependent on how much money do we have, and it's really just a simple building to have services inside. So we'll have a look around the outside and be a bit careful. We've got the village school next door, and of course I don't want to get any any video of the local school children. This causes problems with YouTube, shall we say, and I wouldn't anyway. So let's have a look around. So we start on the north side, partly just to get this how plain it is, and there is a tower, and also to see this vestry. This vestry is very interesting. It has a window with old-fashioned cast iron tracery. It suggests that there may have been, well, there would have been these cast iron frame windows in there before the modern stained glass, or the more recent stained glass. And this kind of thing, they were made locally. Nice bit of Gothic with a K, as it's often referred to. Yeah, village school next door, very, very, very common. The school and church will be next door, because as we saw inside, it's the church that takes the initiative, if you will, with education. Again, very, very simple tower. No spire. Not going to take a chance with the spire this time. We saw how that worked out, well, last time, didn't we? And track around the outside. Sunlight, lots of sunlight. Village pub opposite, Duke of York. And yes, there still is a Duke of York, but this of course is not named for him. It's going to be named for the grand old Duke of York, who had 10,000 men and led them up the top of the hill and led them down again. Marched up the top of the hill and marched them down again. And here we are in the afternoon sun. It's just after 2:30. We've got your usual graveyard on the south side, higgledy-piggledy graves, always very pretty, these old graveyards. The porch halfway down, and this sort of symmetry. It's not Gothic at all, really. It's very, very Georgian, but they're using the forms of medieval Gothic. It does make you wonder, were the windows here originally arched like the ones in the tower, and is the wide tracery later addition? But there we have it then. That is All Saints Elton. And so All Saints Elton, a beautiful Georgian Regency church, replacing a medieval church that had a rather unfortunate problem with, I suspect, lack of maintenance. It generally was lack of maintenance that led to people that these towers would fall down, and very often it's just that the church wardens were a little bit more than a bit stingy, and they said, well, do we want to spend any money on keeping this? Oh, I'm sure we can just another few years, then crash, the spire came down. But we got this rather nice replacement. So thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting and informative. It's a nice little church, this one. It's good to have an excuse at least to revisit it, and particularly it's a better day than it was last time. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you.